It's Boslow and Mr. Clinton. Can't wait. Speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Boslow and can't wait to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whole day we are calling for Boslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
And they would have gotten
Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Paul Slow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far. And every Guyanese will feel well. Oh, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Paul Slow and Clinton Conway. Every day.
all the money they invest, 2.2 billion of our money. That money could have been invested someplace. They have to say. Like the issues. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Welcome, welcome, one and all. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you are looking forward to a very productive week. So welcome to the Monday's episode. Today is Monday, the 19th day of January in the year of our Lord 2025. It's good to be another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. So yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. And you know, we tell you when you come in, share the live, hit the notification button, show your appreciation, and we are going to come and bring you credible, valuable, factual information. My colleague CC is in the studio, raring to interact with you and to bring you credible, valuable information. So share the live, let them know that we are on. I know it's lunchtime, Guyana, 12 o'clock, and therefore a lot of people get a chance to at least listen to the beginning. And then those of you who are at home and so on, you get to listen. Today, those of our colleagues, our classmates who are in the U.S., they are enjoying a public holiday today in respect of Dr. Martin Luther King's birth day celebration, not the birthday, but the observation today. So yeah, share. Let them know that we are here and we're going to come and bring you the information that you need to know. We have so much to tell you. You know, it becomes very redundant now when I repeat that, but I will continue to do so because as you will have come to recognize, every episode we have so much to tell you. Things are so fluid in Guyana that from the time we left here on Friday to now, oh my, all this thing, a bloody weekend, we have to say, bloody week, another bloody weekend. So share. We're going to come, we're going to bring you all the credible, valuable information. The gates were open at what, 9 o'clock Eastern time, right? Right. I think I said year 2025, but came back the year. It's 2026. We all know that it's 2026. Today is the 19th of January in the year of our Lord 2026. If I said 2025, well, you know, the slip of the tongue is not the fault of the mind. So yeah, when you get a little old like me, you tend to make some of these mistakes. So thanks to the correction student, I misspoke. You know, we said we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, which I'll tell you about as we go along about making mistakes and how you recover from making mistakes, right? So yeah, share the live, and we are going to come. We're going to do the usual thing, acknowledge those who came in early. Then we are going to do the announcements, and then we're going to go straight into it this morning. So in terms of those, the gates were open at 9, and immediately the students were there to come in. But as we say, you're going to get a lot of students to come in at a particular when the gates are open, but all are not going to be listed together. They're listed in a particular order. So even though the timing will show the same, you're going to record them at different, in some type of order. And the first person listed here this morning is Mr. Ian Lucius. Congratulations, Ian, for being the first person listed at exactly 9 this morning. Then it was Wayne out of the UK. Then Janella, BV girl, is here. Denise from Florida. Then after Denise, it was Joan listed, Joan from New Amsterdam, Berbice. Then we have Grantley. Then after Grantley is who that? Ivan, Danny is here. Then Gibbo listed, Gavin, Jakey, Clarence, Kerry, 9 o'clock, Rawl, 11752. Then shortly thereafter, they all came at 9:00. Some came in at 9:01. And Pinky, Courtney. Then it was Emerson, Brian, Lynette from the UK, Albert, Fergus is here very early. Morton, Aubrey from Canada is here. Then we have, then it was Clive from the UK as well. UK well represented this morning. Bonita, Marcus, Wayne, Clifton, and Clifton is all the way from Paris. There after Clifton, we have Felicia, and then we have Peter. So those are the ones who came in early in the yard. And then when we went, when the school doors were open a while ago, let me see how they came in. Not surprising, Edward is here as the number 1 student in the school classroom. Then it was Yolanda, Stian, Colvis, Charlene is here, Junior, Rhonda from Denamstel, West Dem, Sister Trifosa is here with us, Jagdish is here as well, Lorelli, Nigel, Mas, good to see you early in the classroom. Nigel, Steve is here as well. And then we have Pam from West Demerara, Norville, and the list goes on and on and on. So yes, well attended. What? Share the live, give us a thumbs up. We are approaching 900 on the live. Share, and we're going to make the announcements. Then we are going to go into the meat of the thing. Now, announcements, we start with those sad ones first, the sad ones first. And as I've said today, 675 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughn was killed. Police Sergeant Alex Vaughn killed on the 12th of March, 2024. And initial report that he was friendly fire, they say. Friendly fire. And since then, everybody got silent. Right, somebody is coming in here from the British Virgin Islands. Good to see the people from all around. We have, let me digress to say that normally on the program, we have people from many states in the U.S., Guyana, of course, Canada, the UK, Paris, England. We have had people all the way, a particular man all the way from Australia is here. We have Antigua, we have St. Vincent, we have Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, my good friend Dougie, don't miss it, Jamaica, St. Lucia. So many places, so many places, and we appreciate that. We welcome that participation. Now, Canada, yes, Toronto, Canada is here, and so many people are here with us, right? People in the interior. We have a man who's here from Mbaimadai, people from Lethem, people from Northwest District, all over Suriname. Don't forget Suriname. We have regulars from Suriname as well. So yeah. So Sergeant Vaughn, 675 days and counting, right? We told you about the death of retired Assistant Superintendent Ormond Wins. And let me remind you that Ormond will be buried on Wednesday, on the 21st. They say viewing at Merriman's Funeral Home from 9:30 to 10:30. Then the funeral service will take place as Revival Temple Pentecostal Ministry, New Amsterdam. So it goes to New Amsterdam. Yeah, Antigua is here as well. I'm not going to get into trouble when I call countries and states and I miss out some. So New Amsterdam for Ormond, and then there will be a wake at the police association building in Cowan Street tonight. Tonight, they say a wake tonight at that place. So that is a arrangement for retired Assistant Superintendent Harmon Winst. Then we have a countryman of mine who died, Trevor Eastman, and somebody did reach out to me, and I did tell them the funeral is tomorrow, Tuesday, not tomorrow, yes, tomorrow. Well, we have they say the 24th, so we got to get it clarified because tomorrow is the 20th, tomorrow is not the 24th. So I'm going to get it clarified about Trevor's funeral arrangement. Or they say January, Tuesday the 24th, so some mistake is made there. Tuesday is not the 21st. Then what? We told you too about some other debts, which we're not going to bother with for now. But let me move on to, well, there are so many other things to tell you about in terms of debt, but we're going to come back to those in a more substantive way. I refer specifically to the execution-style killing last evening, and then that viral video of a man shooting himself. I think so. We're going to talk about that, right? Border greetings. Then we go to the more pleasant announcement. Border. Today is the birth anniversary of retired Deputy Commissioner Harold Martin. 99 years today. Uncle Harold, right? He's one of our mentors. And you know, some of the boys went to see him yesterday on the highway, and then they posted a picture. But it caught me because I didn't remember that today was his 99th birthday. So when I saw the picture, I thought it was an older picture. But then I got a reminder this morning that today Uncle Harold is 99 years of old. For the older police who know Harold, Uncle Harold, fantastic policeman, fantastic gentleman, right? I remember when I joined the TSU in 1974, I heard about him because by the time I got there, he used to be at TSU. He had moved. I think he had gone to Linden, and he worked at Linden, and then he came at headquarters. I remember Uncle Harold very well. Then he went for years at the Police Service Commission. For years, he was at the Police Service Commission as one of the commissioners there. And then I think in 2018, he was there up to 2017, 2018, and then he moved on. He has a farm on the Linden Suzaik Highway, and Uncle Harold today is 99 years. I want to send out special congratulations to Uncle Harold on his 99th birth anniversary today. Also, today is the birth anniversary of not a student, not a student of this class. I'm referring to the people from BV will know, Janella and all these people will know. Cousin V Seals from down at the back at Canterbury Walk there. I'm not sure what Cousin V age is, but I think Cousin V is in her 90s as well. I think Cousin V is in her 90s. In one of the stalwarts in the thing. And you know, when I sit on my veranda on Sundays and I see her pass there with our grandson going to church, and she never failed to hail me up. Paul, is you? I say yes. And so Cousin V is observing a birth anniversary today. And then we did say belated, well, we did say advance to Kenwin Hope. Stuggy, well, we got to say belated now because Stuggy birthday, the birth anniversary was yesterday. 9597 Stuggy Hope. Birth anniversary was yesterday. And also, we had a recent birthday of a former member, Lana Campbell. She is a BV girl as well. Lana had a birthday recently as well. And also former woman inspector Jacqueline Chisholm. Former Jacqueline Chisholm had a birth anniversary recently. And in terms of advanced birthday greetings, there's retired Chief Inspector, I think Detective Chief Inspector Lloyd Fraser. Lloyd Fraser will be celebrating a birth anniversary shortly. So again, I want to say congratulations to all those who celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are going to be celebrating in the near future. Let me bring in Cece and then I'm going to come back with some more announcements. But CC, welcome. I hope you had a fantastic weekend, my brother. Welcome.
It made me fantastic. What a nice weekend with my grandchildren. Yesterday, Saturday, wonderful times. And I must thank the Lord for giving me the opportunity to see another day and to be in the land of the living to do God's work. We will continue to do God's work, despite what we'll continue to do God's. Happy birthday to all those who celebrated, who want to celebrate in the future, and condolences to the relatives, friends, family of those that pass away. So I repeat myself, happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work.
Thank you, my brother. Now we're moving along for some other announcements. Cricket is in the air. West Indies right now playing Afghanistan in a T20. West Indies at Afghanistan 19 for 2. Afghanistan came back and made 181 or something like that. They lost the third wicket on the last ball of the 20-over game. Well, I look at the lineup. Evan Lewis, Johnson Charles, and we get World T20 is next month. World T20 is next month, so I guess that is gonna be the players going into the World T20. Well, let me watch and see what going on there. Then we had New Zealand and India recently. New Zealand shocked India. This is a 50-over tournament, 3-match tournament. New Zealand won in India 2-1. New Zealand don't disappoint, especially when it comes to warm up. Those are the season. Afghanistan's warm up. So let me see where they will go. No, but New Zealand, right, made fantastic team. They're underrated, but they always deliver. They are underrated, but they always deliver. So they shocked India yesterday in India. Then we had the under 19. West Indies storm off in the under 19. They beat Tanzania, and then in the second match against Afghanistan cut the tail. But in that group that they are in is West Indies, Afghanistan, South Africa, and Tanzania. Afghanistan is leading because they beat West Indies and they beat South Africa. So they're virtually going through. Now, West Indies must beat South Africa in order to move out of the group. Must beat South Africa. Because how that tournament is organized, I think the top 2 move forward, and then the bottom 2 in the group, they continue, they're going to knock out, but they no longer will be in contention for the Under-19 World Cup. They're going to be in contention for a plate. Somebody tell me Brandon King just get out. 5 for 1. Not surprising. Right, so that is what you have. So West Indies is going to struggle to get through the Under-19 to play for the Cup. Let me keep your fingers crossed. And then we have Bangladesh. Bangladesh. We told you the World Cup for the T20 World Cup starts it's India, Sri Lanka. Politics. Bangladesh decided they are not going to India to play in their matches, and they had asked the ICC to reschedule them to some other venue. I think ICC has refused, and ICC said, you got to come. Now, yesterday I read where ICC has given them an ultimatum. Play your match in India. Let me know by the 21st whether you're playing or not. And if you're not playing, then we're going to replace you with Scotland or something like that. So let's follow it to see where that will go. So they get the ultimatum. Now, you get over the weekend, for those of you, we bring you information out of Barbados, Flying Fish Island. The Prime Minister announced elections on the 11th of February. 3 weeks, they give them. 11th of February, elections in Barbados. That is what you call a snap election. I guess the Constitution allows for that. And you see, you could say what you want to say about the U.S. Nobody can call no snap election in the U.S. The dates are known. November, where you get midterm, for example, this year, I think it was the first Tuesday, wherever it is known when you're going to have elections. But in the Westminster system and the way the government decides, they set up everything in their favor, and then they tell you elections in the next 2-3 weeks in this case. The only place in recent times where a snap election was called and the incumbent lost was in Trinidad. Remember the story recently in Trinidad? Rowley stepped down and he put in a thing, Stuart Young, and then Stuart Young, even before the ink could dry, call a snap election and get the tail whooped. So apparently they didn't read the tea leaves correctly. Did not read the tea leaves correctly. So Barbados election is on the 11th of February. 11th of February, right? Now, today, as I indicated earlier, is the birth anniversary of, well, not the birth anniversary, let me put it correctly. Today is observed as the birth anniversary, observe Dr. Martin Luther King, right? I think by law, the third Monday in January, because he was actually born, I think, on the 15th of January. But I have a little tape that I want to play so that you can understand, many of the younger ones in particular, who was Dr. Martin Luther King, his contributions to the civil rights movements, and his contribution to humanity in general. So I'm going to play it. Sit back, take your notebook, and because you get the holiday, you know about Dr. Martin Luther King. But some of the things, I did the research and I found this, and I thought it will be very important for you to be made aware of who Dr. Martin Luther King, civil rights leader, right, was. So here we go.
Words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on this federal holiday that honors the birthday of Dr. King. On April 4th, 1968, he was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. He was just 39 years old. He was in Memphis supporting striking sanitation workers as he built momentum for a Poor People's March on Washington. This is an excerpt from Dr. King's last speech, which he gave on April 3rd, 1968, known as the speech, "I have been to the mountaintop."
You know, several years ago, I was in New York City autographing the first book that I had written. And while sitting there in books, a demented black woman came up. The only question I heard from her was, "Are you Martin Luther King?" And I was looking down writing, and I said, "Yes." And the next minute, I felt something beating on my chest. Before I knew it, I had been stabbed by this demented woman. I was rushed to Harlem Hospital. It was a dark Saturday afternoon. And that blade had gone through, and the x-rays revealed that the tip of the blade was on the edge of my aorta, the main artery. And once that's punctured, you're drowned in your own blood. That's the end of you. Yes. It came out in the New York Times the next morning that if I had merely sneezed, I would have died. Well, about 4 days later, they allowed me, after the operation, after my chest had been opened and the blade had been taken out, to move around in the wheelchair in the hospital. They allowed me to read some of the mail that came in, and from all over the states and the world, kind letters came in. I read a few, but one of them I will never forget. I had received one from the president and the vice president. I've forgotten what those telegrams said. I'd received a visit and a letter from the governor of New York, but I've forgotten what that letter said. Yes. But there was another letter that came from a little girl, a young girl, who was a student at the White Plains High School. And I looked at that letter, and I'll never forget it. It said simply, "Dear Dr. King, I am a 9th grade student at the White Plains High School. She said, while it should not matter, I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your misfortune and of your suffering. And I read that if you had sneezed, you would have died. And I'm simply writing you to say that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze. And I want to say tonight, that I too am happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960 when students all over the South started sitting in at lunch counters. And I knew that as they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best in the American dream and taking the whole nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1961 when we decided to take a ride for freedom and ended segregation in interstate travel. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1962 when Negroes in Albany, Georgia decided to straighten their backs up. And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they are going somewhere, because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. If I had sneezed, if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been here in 1963. The black people of Birmingham, Alabama, aroused the conscience of this nation and brought into being the Civil Rights Bill. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have had a chance later that year in August to try to tell America about a dream that I had. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been down in Selma, Alabama to see the great movement there. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been in Memphis to see a community rally around those brothers and sisters who are suffering. I'm so happy that I didn't sneeze. And they were telling me, now it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I left Atlanta this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system, "We are sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane, and to be sure that all of the bags were checked, and to be sure that nothing would be wrong on the plane, we had to check out everything carefully, and we've had the plane protected and guarded all night." And then I got into Memphis, and some began to say the threats, or talk about the threats that were out, or what would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Dr. Martin Luther King, April 3rd, 1968, the night before he was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. The federal King holiday, which started in '83, was first observed in '86, has overlapped with Inauguration Day just 2 other times. First with Bill Clinton in 1997, and then again with President Obama in 2013. Obama also took his oath of office using a Bible that belonged to Dr. Martin Luther King. The King family has been extremely critical of President Trump, but the youngest of the civil rights leader's 4 children, Bernice King, said of Martin Luther King Day coinciding with the Trump inauguration, quote, "It's wonderful this occurs on the King holiday, the inauguration, because it reminds us of King," she said. You can see all of our Martin Luther King programs by going to democracynow.org. Special thanks to the Democracy Now! Team in Washington, D.C. Democracy Now! Is produced with Renee Feltz, Mike Burke, Dina Guzder, Messiah Rhodes, Nermeen Sheikh, Maria Tarasena, Tammy Warnoff, Trina Nadura, Sam Alkoff, Taymari Astudio, John Hamilton, Robbie Karen, Hani Masood, and Hannah Elias. Our executive director is Julie Crosby. Special thanks to Becca Staley, John Randolph, Paul Powell, Mike DeFilippo, Miguel Noguera.
Very powerful indeed. Very, very, very powerful. And I have a quotation here that I want to share with you, Dr. Martin Luther King. He says here, quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Let me go back through that. Dr. Martin Luther King says that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. We must remember that. Silence is not an option. We must speak out. We must, and we not encourage anyone. I have never encouraged anyone to break the law. Break the law. Speak out. When things happen, you must voice your concerns. That's the only way we're gonna get a change. But we have too many people who are silent in the face of all kinds of atrocities. They're silent. We have many of them who are what you call keyboard warriors. They sit down and they write and they comment, and that is the extent. But as Dr. Martin Luther King said, we have got to be more involved in the process. So today is celebrated as the birth anniversary, as you would have heard there. He wasn't born on the 19th, but the 3rd Monday in January is observed in the U.S. as Dr. Martin Luther King birthday. And as we say, may he continue to rest in peace, and may his speeches continue to inspire us to do good and to seek justice for mankind. Let me bring in CC, and then we are going to move on. But I'm sure you would like to say something about those comments with the cricket and with Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday observation. CC?
Very inspirational. He's been to the top of the mountain, and luckily he didn't sneeze. The cricket, very, very interesting coming up. Well, my biggest disappointment is with the female cricket, the West Indian cricket. The batsmen over there, also the women are making runs. Something is wrong somewhere. They ain't making any kind of runs. I mean, we won Guyana. We won 2 out of 3 matches, but they're not making runs. The whole West Indian side there and making any kind of runs.
Well, I don't know. The truth is that I have lost the type of interest I used to have in following cricket. I follow the scores and to see what is going on and so on. But to sit down and lose my night rest over watching a game and so on, them days to me finish. I value my night rest too much to sit and watch cricket all night. And then, especially when you lose, next day you feel miserable. Back in the day, I could tell you in the 70s and so on, right? I remember when West Indies went to Australia 75, 76. I was along constable of the TSU then. We used to lay down in that wing, see dormitory wing, all us cricketers, and we had a radio, and we all would gather around this radio. We tried to catch some rest all in the night, and then we gather around the radio to listen to cricket. And we listen all night, right? And then the next day, sometimes you're miserable because you lose, you sleep, and then especially if it did not go that well, right? And one of the things I can tell you then, many of you are not old enough to know that, but it wasn't the days of TV, it was the days of radio. And we had a thing, you listen to the radio, beautiful commentary. Those men had commanded the language, they knew the game, and Alan McGilvery, Tony Kosher, and these people. But whenever you hear for a change of commentary, we now hand you over to Tony Kosher. We used to all groan because things used to happen. Once Tony Kosher come on, wickets used to fall if West Indies batting. So we never wanted Tony Kosher to come on. Those were the days, eh? Those were the days. Well, let me move on. We told you on Friday they had this big cleaning up. Police all over the place had to clean up the seawall from those that had caught that. Well, it took place, eh? They had this big cleanup exercise headed by the commissioner himself, and they post dozens of pictures to show that policemen and women were made to come out on Saturday morning very early to clean up. That was following what took place the previous Saturday when staff from the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport were invited to come out and clean up. That is where we are in this country called Guyana. Policemen have to come and to clean garbage in the street. Policemen. In the meanwhile, you have rampant crime around the place. And I say again, I want to know when would the Commissioner of Police, Clifton Aiken, organize a mass patrol? That is a core function. Mass patrols that we used to have in the past, where the security services, people work, the 8 to 4 police ranks and so on, they all come out, invite members of the public. People came, security services and agencies provided vehicles to go on your patrol in area to give some type of comfort to the people living in this society. But no, you're going to mass patrol now. Now I guess mass cleanup exercise. And as we on clean up, just to show how no plan. If you recall, I don't know, I am blessed with good memory, right? I am blessed. By now you have recognized that. It was last year when they had a big cleanup exercise. And Deputy Commissioner Operations Watts then sent out something to tell them how they must have enforcement littering campaign, right? And they wanted returns. You must send daily and weekly how many persons arrested, how many persons charged, and all of that. That was last year. What has happened to that? What has happened? They just come out with these things. These things are not carefully thought out and planned. In any event, I say, policemen and women should not be involved in cleaning up seawall and all of that. Yeah, you might want them to mobilize to clean up the environment, the station, and even to that, years ago, the Police Association successfully fought that. The Police Association, representing members of the force from constable to inspector, fought successfully to say that policemen should not be involved in cleaning stations, cleaning backroom and all this type of thing. And they employ subordinate employees for that purpose. Subordinate employees, we call them barrack labor, but the correct designation is subordinate employees. We had a situation back in the day too where prisoners would come to clean up around the place. Prisoners. But now, no, police, people work all week. Those women, I'm sorry for those women in particular. You work all week. You have so many things to do on Saturday. No, you got to come. You have people who are Seventh Days Adventists. You want to worship on Saturdays. No, you got to come and clean up. That is what is going on. That is what is going on. Let me bring in CC to comment on that. CC, big cleanup Saturday, man. Big cleanup. What say you?
Well, let me just go back to the cricket, I remember as a constable, I used to get a transistor radio. West Indies playing in Australia, particularly at night. Sometimes I get it under my pillow. or if I'm walking compound century, I got it with me. And then when later on, when they start get television, I remember my son, he liked cricket, but then he had to go to school. I remember he used to waking up sometime to watch Brian Lara, but and when Lara out, I say, go back and sleep. And then he used to happen that sometime Brian Lara getting out, Brian Lara batting through. So he used to tell, yeah. Go along and sleep because you gotta go to school tomorrow. I remember what's with this we call a massive cleanup campaign. Send out big circle all about the place, for a cleanup campaign, a massive, and he used the word massive, a mass. He called it mass cleanup. And after a while, somebody say this cleanup drop the M. It's no longer mass. Drop the M from the mass, one day. Apparently they stopped the mass cleanup campaign.
Yeah, well, yes. Now let me we talk about the blood over the weekend. We had this situation where, let me deal with this one first. I'm not going to show the video because I don't want YouTube to say that I have violated community standard. I'm talking about the viral video of this youngster playing with a gun and then end up unaliving himself. And people making all sorts of comment as to whether this thing is staged, whether I believe nothing staged about that. Nothing staged, right? And these are the guns. This is just a still picture. Look how guns this man get. I think somebody else or more persons were there with him. This looked like shotgun man get. Look at assault rifle, all type of an assortment of firearms, including some high power firearms. But as I said, the video is circulating. I'm sure by now, if you go to any one of the social media, you're gonna see the video circulating. There are different different lengths. Some from the outset when they're singing and the singing and so on. But I told you all already that I have a background as a firearms instructor, right? I am a firearm instructor. No, Shonda, is not so. Let me explain. I have looked at this video several times. And some people say, oh, you didn't know that there was a wrong in the breach. And I don't think so, based on what I observed. Let me explain to you what I observed from a experienced firearm instructor perspective. Now, you get a gun, you get a pistol, brandishing the pistol. The pistol had a magazine with rounds inside, so therefore it was loaded, right? Because if a semi-automatic or an automatic firearm has a magazine with rounds inside, it is considered loaded, right? So let me walk you through. So the gun was loaded, and loaded then mean that there's a round in the breech. Once the magazine is inside, it is loaded, right? The next stage now is to chamber a round. Then it is ready, right? So in this case, the magazine was in, the gun was ready because there was a round in the breech. He dropped the magazine. This is things I examined over and over. He dropped the magazine. Now, when he dropped the magazine, if you look carefully, you can see that he physically pulled back the slide to reveal that there was a rung in the breech. He didn't pull it right out because if you pull it right back, that rung would have been extracted. So he pulled it back. So he was showing us on TikTok, those people watching TikTok, that there was a rung in the breech. And then he closed back the breech. So the rung is chambered. The magazine is out. And then he squeezed the trigger. Well, here, let me tell you what happened there. Let me give you a little firearm lessons here. Right? Now, when you have a semi-automatic pistol, there are basically two types of firing mechanisms. Basically, a rough. There is a firing mechanism on some of those pistols that deactivates once the magazine is out. Listen to me carefully, Sean. You take out the magazine from some kinds of semi-automatic pistol, and the pistol cannot fire, even though there's a round chambered in the breech, can't fire. The fact that the magazine is dropped, it deactivates the firing mechanism, right? Now, there's the other type, like the one you had there yesterday, what we saw there yesterday. The magazine is out, but it can still fire. The drop in the magazine does not deactivate the firing mechanism. So poor, poor boy. I mean, I'm laughing because the thing, I ain't get no sympathy for him because you remember he was wanted for killing somebody, right? I have no sympathy, but that's a show. I'm telling you how the lack of knowledge. I am sure when you wake up, you can tell somebody what really happened. When you wake up, I am sure that he believed that the fact that this magazine was out of the pistol, and even though a round was chambered, it could not fire. That is based on what I looked at and what I analyzed. That is the conclusion I came to. That he believed, because the man dropped the magazine, we can see that. Magazine out of the pistol. We can see too, he pulled the slide back shortly to expose the rung in the firing area in the breech. Then he closed it back, right? He closed it back. Well, Junior said brainless. He definitely ain't get no brain now. So he did that. And I believe, based on what I observed, that he decided to squeeze the trigger because he was of the view, this is not a man who decided whether committing suicide and deliberate. He was of the view that the pistol could not fire without the magazine in it. And I know where he ain't discovered nothing because I know it looked like a 9mm or something even bigger. From the time that thing went out there is oblivion. He done. And then, you know, y'all forgive me, you know, if I seem insensitive and I'm laughing and all this type of thing. But what struck me, he was there with a colleague, at least one colleague, and they're supposed to be bad man because if you see the brandishing this God and so on. If you hear the bad man, hello, oh God, but he realized what happened. He partner, hello. And the police, I see from a release, they're not sure if it is true. They're not sure it is a stage. I am saying this. Police have to have an interest in trying to recover these firearms, right? They must have an interest in trying to recover all of these unlawful firearms, right? So whether you feel the thing was staged or not, somebody else was there. And they say, well, no report can make. If he's there with the Mati criminals, as you would say, and this man just unalive himself, right? He kill himself in the thing with all them guns. Why you gonna believe the force action? I believe that the first thing they will do is try to scoop up those guns and disappear with them. Nobody ain't calling no police. If they were in an area where people live, then people might have reported hearing a gunshot. Well, a gunshot. But nobody ain't reported nothing to no police. So I see that some report that no report has been made to the police. And nobody. For the time the man on the live himself there. And for the time he pardoned done all, oh God, oh Lord, if you hear bad man, all. Once he done there, I'm sure you're gonna get the presence of mind to pick up all them guns and beat out. Left your partner right there. Pick up them thing and beat out because he showed that he done there. Right? Done there. So again, it's about knowing and this is to be a lesson, right? To even people who are lawfully carrying firearms. You got to know, I've been preaching this over and over. As a farmer, well, not farmer, as a firearm instructor, because not farmer, the knowledge is still there. You have got to know the particular mechanism and characteristics of each and every firearm, all and same. All. For example, you got a revolver, right? A revolver, and there are two types of revolver in terms of the mechanism. You got a what they call the double action and a single action. Many people don't know that. You got a single action. Single action means you got a revolver, and a revolver is distinct and different from a pistol. You know, the revolver carries a cylinder that revolves, as the name suggests. Revolves. Whereas a pistol carry magazines, right? Where the rounds are fed from the magazine. Pistols are also semi-automatic, right? Now with the revolver, in a single action revolver, and I don't think that around now, so many of the younger policemen would not know about a single. You have a single action and double action. Now, a single action revolver means that in order for the revolver to fire, you put bullet in the chamber, you have got to cock it. You have to pull back the ammo, and you squeeze, and when you want it to fire again, you have to pull back the arm again. It's a single action. So if you squeeze the trigger, the revolver fires, but then if you squeeze again, nothing happens because it's single action. And those of you who are accustomed to the old time, well, not Sean, no. You see, this is a mistake some people made. In general, the cylinder revolves as you say, Sean is saying it revolves way clockwise, right? Some revolvers revolve in the other direction. It all has to do where the revolving arm is located. You see, that's what I'm saying. The knowledge, right? The knowledge. The revolving arm is located on the right. They will sling. It will revolve clockwise. If it is located on the other side, it revolves. So you got to know if you have a firearm. I'm saying this to the policemen, to the military people, to private security. You got to know. So we tell you about a single action. Those of you, us who love to see Western, like I did when I was a youth man, you will recall Clint Eastwood and all those big-time Westerns. When they're shooting the revolver, they used to do so. You remember that? They're firing, and they get if you're right-handed, they get the left hand, and what we call fanning. It's cock. They were cocking the single action. That would have been a single action revolver that they were cocking. It was a single action revolver they were cocking. Now with the double action, which is the most common type, you squeeze the trigger. Well, you can do two things. You can cock it, and you squeeze the trigger, and it fires. Or you can just squeeze the trigger right through, and it fires. And you can continue to squeeze. Every time you want one to fire, you can squeeze, right? Now, the difference is that if you cock it, you pull back the arm and you cock it, it is less pressure on the trigger for it to go off. So if you're shooting for accuracy, it is always advised that you cock the ammo before you shoot. So we got to understand these things. Understand. As I explained the other day when they talk about this airsoft gun and all this type of thing, you got to understand the mechanism if you get a firearm. And it's unfortunate that we have people parading around the place with firearm, policemen, people in uniform, and they don't understand some basic things about firearm. They don't. I remember when I was there as operations occupied the DC operations chair. One day I decided to call down at the TSU and say, look, assemble all the instructors in that little place they have down at the bottom there. I'm coming there to have an interaction with them. And I went down there, instructors, and I started to quiz them and question them. And I was appalled at their lack of knowledge in certain respects. I was appalled at their lack of knowledge. And one of the things I had decided when the English, I think it was CO19 team was there and they came and we interacted, I had started a process to make sure that policemen, listen to this carefully, that policemen were basically licensed to carry certain type of firearm. In other words, you have to get, I had designed a little card thing to say what firearms they were qualified to use. What firearm, because what happens, and this is the truth, what happens, a policeman passes through training school, he is expected, listen to this carefully, he's expected to have gone through the firearm training and all that. He's expected to have. In many cases, that is not the case. They don't go through it. So, but when a man transfers from the training school and he goes to a station or wherever, nobody checks to see what training he had. You turn up there, you give a rifle or you give a revolver, now you give assault, send him on duty. Send him on duty because he's a police in uniform. And they assume that he was trained to use this firearm. They assume that he was trained to use the firearm. It is not so in a large percent. Even though some of them are trained, they are not proficient in the use. They don't understand when to fire and all of that. These are things that I was addressing when I was there at operations. So you got to understand. I remember, I mentioned this before, the late, great Geoff Ains, GF is as chancellor. I was a young sergeant, firearm instructor. And a decision had been taken, I know by whom, that JOF should get a firearm. And I, being the leading firearm instructor, was called and told to take a revolver. It was a snub-nose .38 revolver to him. And I took the revolver to JOF Ains at the Appeal Court building there. And Before anything, I introduced myself and I sat him down and went through the basics. You have to go through the basics. You got Joffins, and I went through in detail the firearm, how it is loaded, how it is unloaded, right? How you can fire. And then the last thing, the most significant thing, I then explained to him when you may fire. I explained in detail to J.O.F. Ains, that legal luminary, when you may fire. And when I finished, he looked at me, he shook his head, and he said, Sergeant, tell me this. Are policemen taught these things? I said, yes, sir. All policemen are taught this. He said, well, let me tell you, this is so comprehensive that anytime any matter comes before me where policemen shoot and so on, I will be better informed to determine whether they shoot, whether it was justified or not. JFAs. But we have people running around, and this is one of the things they have to address. People believe that when they apply for a firearm and they are granted a firearm, whether they pay or not, because the allegation is Jackie Opel got a visit, whether they pay or not, an important part is to make sure they understand when and how they can use the firearm, not only in terms of the physical aspect when you can shoot, but also when you can legally discharge a firearm. You got to understand that. But that don't happen now. And that is a problem. A man go and he get license, permission to get the firearm, and then perhaps he goes there for a little 20 minutes, what we call introductory fire or something like that, and he done for years and years. There's no requirement when you have to renew your firearm for them to test for if you could still see and if you could still, nothing is done. Those are some of the things that they have to address. They have to address it in a very holistic, comprehensive manner. Not just giving people gun when they run up to election, you're giving them gun and giving them gun, and then they're all the place they're drinking liquor and doing all sort of nonsense with the firearm. So I'm saying that to say that having analyzed what took place with this young man there, right? I believe from my knowledge and what I saw, that is what happened. He believed that the firearm could not have fired because the magazine was not in. And I want to know what you can think when you wake up. You know, when he wakes up, what happened? Right? He blow out his own brain. Right? So, yes, proper training. Right? Proper training. He might blow out his own brain. Let me bring in CC to comment on that. And then we're going to talk about the next bloodshed over the weekend. Or the others. CC?
Guns don't argue. Guns don't argue and guns don't get owner. And if you mess around with it, sorry for you. You'll be gone. And Paul, I agree with you. You're the expert. And you got to know, you know it. And I agree with what you mentioned there. He thought around in the breach and to not be activated because the magazine is off. But then, I don't know if by now you realize what took place. Well, no, let me tell you a story that I had. Because we're talking about the use of firearm. I was a force training officer, and TSU run away called a skill of arms course. And they invited me in the final day to close the course. So I went there, and I think they had about 12 people or thereabout. And I said, before I really start my speech, I pushed my hand in my pocket, took out my wallet, threw it on the table. I had a couple of dollars inside there, I don't want to be broke all the time, I said, anybody who could tell me when you may fire, take dollars money in my wallet. And believe me, they couldn't tell me when you may fire. And I made a decision there, say, coming back next 2 days. This course got to be extended. I'm coming back next 2 days, and by then, you are supposed to be able to verbatim tell me when you may fire. It's important, as you mentioned, you had your hands, that not only giving him a weapon, but he must know when you may fire. This way, got embedding them. And the kind of trainers you again, and they just give them a weapon, and in the space of half a day, they done the training finish. It is critical, it is important that you understand and appreciate when you may fire. It then means, remember, as a constable, you have to write it in your pocketbook. And when you lift a weapon, you have to repeat when you may fire to read from the pocketbook. And is to make an entry in the station diary. Force order number 33 of 69. When you may fire, read and explain to this rank, and he said he understand the nature of the document, and you have to sign, and someone else got to sign, because it's important, it's critical, you got to know it. And after a while, it becomes like recitation, you know, that I ain't looking in no pocketbook anymore. Just go and roll the thing there. But I don't know what's happening now. But it is critical that when people get firearm, they must know to the letter, or we said to the T, when you may fire.
Right. So, and you know, I noted some comments here. One man saying the NSP, the normal safety precaution, but training goes beyond NSP, goes beyond NSP, because you have to also do EIA, immediate action. That is thing we used to embed in the recruits, immediate action, right? I'm not going to go into all the details here on this program, but immediate action is that you used to start off, weapon fires, weapon stop. That is what you would say. And then there are certain routines you got to go through. Because if the weapon fires and the weapon stop, you can't just tuck them to a brick and throw it away, right? And I see a more comment here that this is a one without any sense of humor. He said he's amazed that someone can say publicly, what will they do when you wake up dead, right? You need to chill out, my brother. Chill out. You need to chill out. Right? So these are things that they got to know. You know, back in the day, I people say, look, you're digging up yourself, but I'm telling you the truth. The firearm license, for those of you who might have a firearm, if you know something, look at the firearm license, that blue thing. You're going to see at the back of it what we call the safety precaution or safety rules. I am the person who did that, didn't research. I think it's like Barker was the commissioner, and they wanted it at the back of every firearm license. And it came to me at the TSU, and I sat down and I wrote out these things. And since then, I was a sergeant when I get sergeant, since I got promoted in 1977 as a sergeant. I became an inspector in 1980. So since then, it has stood the test of time. At the back of the license, you see those things. Never point any firearm to anyone in jest. Treat every firearm as if it were loaded until you personally have proven otherwise. I write them things. Alcohol and gunpowder do not mix in any proportion. Me, write them thing there. So all these jokers, they run the place and they're bigging up themselves and they're calling themselves that. That's the thing. Yes, Eric. Weapon fire, weapon stop. Cock, hook, and look. There you go. The man been to add some training. Now let me move on. Because we had the next one here last night where a man, I think his name was Orlando Chichester, was executed. Not electrocuted, he was executed. Beirut, Bareroot, Bareroot. That is what the place name. Let me give you a little, I see Ornis here. The story is told that that village got its name from the fact that when people went in there first and started to dig and so on, they encountered a lot of tree roots. And therefore, me say, by this place is Bareroot, Bareroot. That is how they say, Bareroot. So you get it, you know, Beirut. So last night at Beirut, Orlando Chichester was executed. They say he was killed execution style. Somebody unload on him. I am seeing this morning that in the social media, it has been reported that earlier he had some altercation with a man over the fact that he was being accused of having a relationship with this man's wife or woman or something like that, right? he is accused of that, and it is suggested because they say they tried to get the man and his wife and they mistake, they can't find them. So there's a suggestion. Again, it brings to mind the number of unlawful. I am almost certain that there's not a licensed gun. Everybody get thing. Those guns that we saw there displayed by this man who unalived himself, this man, right? Those are not licensed thing. Look how much gun the man and the partner alone get, right? Look how many guns they have. Then the next, this unaliving that took place there last night. And you know, Beirut on the East Coast, right? Let me understand this. Our memories are shallow. I'm not blaming you because things are happening so frequently, so fast in Guyana that unless you're on the ball, things tend to fly by. It was in July of last year, around the mid of July last year, at in Boxer. You remember that? Where men were playing dominoes, right? Men were playing dominoes, including my neighbor, Mark Anthony Correa, businessman, playing domino at Boxton. And there was also this guy, they said Leon McFarlane. Both they were killed. Somebody passed and opened up with an assault rifle, automatic rifle, opened up. These two men killed and several others were injured. Police said at the time they recovered, well, this is something that I'm doing the research. They said they found more than 40 empty casings. They said more than 40. But right away, I was telling you, if you're counting casings, what is more than 40? How can you give a release to say that you found more than 40 cleaning? Is that a finite thing? You don't get the numbers? You don't get the numbers? That is the type of unprofessionalism. Since then, they did say too that some suspect, they named the gang that these people were said to be a part of, the people who did the shooting. Because they said early in the night, some car was suspiciously driving around in it. You hear nothing more about that? Nothing more. 2 lives lost. And that has been swept away. That has been mountain, that carpet that with all the things underneath. So with the case here with Orlando Chichester last night, let me see what will happen. That is only the latest one. That is only the latest one. And then this disturbing report last night where a young lady at the Georgetown Public Hospital female ward jumped through the window and killed herself. Jumped through the window, killed herself. And the people are saying, family members are saying, that they are alerted to the authorities to the fact that the young lady seems unstable and they wanted to stay with her or she be looked at and then wanted to get suicide watch and all them type of thing. So it would appear as though she was left on her own and then she jumped through the window, killed herself. And it didn't done there last night because I see them reporting to that some body, a female body, found floating in some canal with marks. They say what appears to be marks of violence in it. And these are the people who tell you this place is safe, you know, safe. Safe. Man walking down the road and somebody unload on him, kill him, right? And imagine a man getting unalive for as they are alleging for giving blow. Some of y'all gotta be very careful, you know. Man getting unalive for giving blow. In case you don't know what is blow, it having a relationship with another man's woman or another man's man. In Ghana say blow. Trinidad, Jamaica they say bun. You're getting bun. Trinidad they say getting horn. So it's the same thing. Man getting killed, execution style for that. And they're telling us the place safe. Because in all of this, when these things happen, innocent bystanders are exposed, you know, because when a man cut loose in a drive-by, he can't determine where the bullet guy end up. Cannot say a person at the wrong place at the wrong time is they might want to say it's collateral damage, but the place unsafe. The place. Let me bring in CC to obviously say on this bloody weekend. The man shoot himself in the head. Then you have the execution style killing, the young lady jumping through the window. God said she was pregnant. And I read something which caused me some laughter because it said this pregnant woman jumped through the window, and then at the end, they said she was discovered or some pregnant or something like that. Yes, CC, your take, me brother.
You wrote before, too many guns in the town. Too many guns in the town. And that's what the police need to take action. This one get a gun, another one a gun. Everybody get a gun, Be careful. Too many guns in the town and indiscriminate shooting. And it's sad with the woman, because if it is true that she did indicate or she showed tendency of being suicidal or want to be suicidal, and the authorities, relatives didn't take any kind of action, something is definitely wrong. There are times we need to listen and we need to look at signs, indications that these things are likely to happen. But here it is. Indications are she, through social media, indicated she can kill herself. And maybe people talk to her or just leave it at that. And she committed suicide. Very, very sad. My sympathy to the members of that bereaved family.
Yeah. Why don't we move on to this bombshell, this other bombshell revelation? And I'm going to read the report, social media report from HGP Nightly News. It's same story carried in other social media posts and too. HGP to me is more credible, and apart from being more credible, the style of writing is a little better than some of the others. I mean, that's how I feel. Huh? The style of writing is better than some of the others. So, what HGP, and HGP is Travis Chase. Huh? Explosive allegations of sexual exploitation, abuse of authority, and misconduct have surfaced at the Guyana Police Force Training Institution, prompting urgent calls for high-level intervention. In a detailed complaint sent to the media, trainees who have requested anonymity out of fear of victimization claims, well, it should be claimed that sexual harassment and abuse at that facility have become systemic and unchecked. The trainees allege that on the night of Thursday, the 15th of January, the early hours of Friday, January the 16th, multiple male officers, instructors, and civilians were present inside the compound well after visiting hours in violation of established rules. According to the complaint, several female trainees were accounted for during the night. Upon further checks, it is alleged that some trainees were taken to the instructor's room, offices, and gym, and even vehicles where alcohol consumption and sexual activity reportedly occurred. Video evidence to support the allegations have been provided. The whistleblower further claimed that trainees, both male and female, are being exploited to obtain favors, including exemption from duties, academic advancement, and assistance in passing examinations. The allegations state that the male trainees are pressured to provide money and alcohol with female trainees, while female trainees are coerced into sexual acts. The complaint also alleges that attendance records are being falsified to conceal trainees' absence, and that previous investigations failed to result in accountability, emboldening those involved. Several female ranks are named in the complaint, with accusations that abuse of power continues under the belief that institutional protection will prevent consequences. The trainees are now appealing directly to the highest levels of government and law enforcement, asking a stark question: what will it take for this to stop? when there has been no official response from the police or the relevant authorities. That is what is being said. Let me pass the listing out. First of all, let me say that I have seen the complaint that the writer is making reference to. The entire complaint, I have seen it. I have seen the statement, and I have seen the persons to whom this statement is said to have been sent. I am also aware of the names of the ranks who are alleged to be involved, the instructors in particular who are alleged to be involved in this unsavory activity. Now, I know CC can come and he can talk, but let me take a little bit in now, because this thing is very, very disturbing. And why? Because not so long ago, a few months ago, there was a similar allegation. And what happened? We were told that the Office of Professional Responsibility would conduct an investigation. This overburdened Office of Professional Responsibility. Everything is Office of Professional Responsibility. I don't know what is the size of that department. Then we learned that some of the people who were alleged to be involved were transferred to TSU, I think, in the first case. About 3 or 4, including gazetted officers, were transferred out of the place. That's about 3 months or 4 months ago, you know. This thing. We hear not more about that investigation. We learned after, because there was a previous complaint to say that a particular senior man, they say you should roll up there in the evening after what we call lockdown hours, and trainees, at least a trainee, would go with him, spend the night with him, a female trainee spend the night, and then he brought back the female trainee early in the morning. That was the allegation out there. Right? What have they done? What have they done with that? What have they done? Why this thing is so egregious? 3 to 4 months ago, allegation met. They jump up. OPR will investigate. They transfer people. But it appears that nothing has changed, because Thursday gone. Again, Thursday gone, this thing up again. And let me say this. I have seen the video. And this thing is very disturbing, because it is based on what I saw. I saw a female who is presumed to be a recruit, female trainee, in an office there, going down on her knees and performing oral sex on a man who is supposed to be, I don't know if he's an instructor or what, in the training facility. I get the video circulated around. I know many people. I saw the video. I looked at it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing there. I couldn't believe. Female, I don't know if she's a trainee, but at the hour, one would assume that she's a trainee in a thing. Performing oral sex on a male. You get allegation to about the same institution that you have this sexual abuse. Not only female, male. It all are going on in the training institution. Now let me say this, right? I say that it is clear that, I want to read what I said. It's clear that the lack of decisive action by the police administration and the government has allowed this kind of behavior to continue. They say that the training school, as we used to call it, or the college, is now moved to an academy. But it looked like it moved to an institution, they converted to an institution of orgy and debauchery. There's all sort of thing going on there in that place. All kind of behavior going on in the training institution of the Guyana Police Force. And let me go on to say that but it is time, I believe, that they got to shut down this institution for now, for a period, and reorganize it. You can't have a training institution where all of these type of things are going on. Trainees having sex with male instructors having sex, allegedly having sex with male trainees, drinking liquor and all these type of things in the place. You got to shut it down. And you have to hold all those persons who are responsible accountable. And one of the sad things to me is the fact that the person who's in charge of the training institution, I don't know, show us the designation, is a female senior officer, and all of this thing is going on. And if you can remember the chain, the admin man in charge of training, what is the commissioner of police, this man who should have gone over a long time? What are you doing? What is he doing? He's presiding over all of these things around the place. This is very, very disturbing. And if this does not result in some drastic change being taken there, I don't know what will. As I've said, the evidence is there. The evidence, this is not a case where she said, yes, they wrote. But in addition to writing, video recording, the people who made the recordings and all this type of thing are perhaps they are more police than some of the police that you have there. They are more police than some, so they get a video recording to show to confirm what they are alleging. Let me say this too. As I've said, when you had an allegation too, it's a pattern, you know. You had an allegation not so long ago that a very senior police officer, they say, blackmailing a junior rank to have a sexual relationship with her, right? That was an allegation that was made. We didn't hear nothing about it. But I want to remind you that the Minister of Home Affairs, not Shoot and Scoot Ben, the current Minister of Home Affairs, is on record as saying that any relationship between that person, a person of that rank, and a junior rank is a violation of the Sexual Offences Act. In other words, if you violate the Sexual Offences Act, it's a criminal offense. What has happened? What has happened? Because while this thing going on at the training institution, remember, we have Mabaruma, Region 1, where a police corporal is alleged to have had an inappropriate relationship with a 15-year-old female. What happened to that? What has happened? Right? No, I ain't sharing the video. I'm not going to share. So those of you asking me to share that video, I'm not going to share it. Right? I'm not going to share that video with the sexual activity with that woman. I ain't sharing that. Right? Now, right. So you had that there. We had a situation where at a police station across the river, where a male rank raped a civilian. She went there for something, put in a room, rape. I understand that he was charged and he is committed to stand trial at the High Court. But how can those things even happen in a police station? We have Letem not so long ago. Don't forget, where it is alleged that some policeman at Letem has a relationship with some woman, right? Elderly, well, let's say elderly, I think she's in her 30s. It is alleged that he has impregnated our 14-year-old daughter. It is further alleged that he has a sexual relationship with a younger daughter. All of these things are happening. What are they doing? What are they doing? Even you recall too, going back to Region 1, where we had the big thing with the commander there and some female police, where it said she was there working in the office, started a sexual relationship with the commander. The commander wife found out. Commander wife then demanded that she be removed. They sent she to some station where there wasn't facility for a woman and so on. Then when she attempted to travel to Georgetown to make complaint, they text her off the plane. That is what was alleged. Any investigation was done because the woman, policewoman, we understand, made her way to Georgetown by some other means to make report. Nothing is done. Nothing. You got a commissioner there who encouraging either directly or indirectly all of these type of things, and he's still there. And when you talk, they're vexed. When you talk the truth, they are vexed. Shut that place down. You need reform. The reform, as I've said before, can't start or cannot even move along with some of those people in those senior positions, starting with the king, the commissioner of police, who should have never been there in the first place. You got a man who, as I've said, long before he was appointed, so don't come and believe that I am what is called chair quarterback. Long before I said he was not qualified, either academically or otherwise, to be commissioner of police. But they put it there, and therefore we see what happening. We see what is happening, right? Don't forget, you get Brutus, Assistant Commissioner, the de facto second in command, right under Ikin nose, is charged for 260-something criminal offenses. 200 and something. So what happened to the commissioner? You know what's going on below him? In the case where he was charged, Brutus charged for stealing the $60 million, it has been reported, I saw the statement, that the $60 million was uplifted from a bank and taken to Brutus and handed over to him in the office of the commissioner, in the presence of the commissioner. What happened? What happened? Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. And you have so many other matters. Cocaine at police headquarters. Magic Man come, turn into flour, and they're still keeping it there. They're still keeping him there. And there are so many, we can go on all morning and catalog all of these things. But I'm saying it is time. And let me, before I gotta bring in CC just now, well, I want to make this point. I want to know what happened to these women organizations. They had, if I recall correctly, the other they call the Association of Women Police. Supposed to be representing the interests of police women. What happened to them? What happened to all these other national organizations that are supposed to represent the interests of girls and women? What happened to them? What, they're not hearing about what's going on? Come out and say something. Come out and say something. And before I bring in Mr. Conway, who I'm sure will have a lot to say because he was in charge of training for a number of years, I feel compelled to make this point because when I read the social media posts, I look at the comments, people say, oh, this is going on for a long time and so on. Not at all. Not at all. Not what you see going on now. And let me make the point, as I think I did it previously on a program. Let me make the point. Human being what they are, men and women, once men and women associate, relationships are likely to start. Relationships, that is natural. I know of organizations that have rules to say that any type of intimate relationship among employees, between employees and so on, will lead to dismissal. And even in that case, relationship form. Natural, I guess. I spent 6 months in the police training institution from the 1st of March, 1974, on to the 1st of September, 1974. We had a large squad, 200 and something men, 50 something women, a large squad, right? And you suspect, many times you suspect that something is going on, especially, you're creasing, as they would say, you're macoing, Trinidadian would say, and you believe, you have a suspicion that something going on between perhaps a male instructor and a female trainee. So that is the extent. You got to suspect. There's not going to be anything to confirm what is going on. The people, whatever relationship they had, would have been very, very discreet. But to see what's going on now in the training school, oral sex, and then if there's a civilian going in there in the night pool, in the car, this is a sex camp. There is a sex camp. That is what is going on in a sex camp. And I want to emphasize that while they will have relationship at the levels and so on, not this what you see going on, Not this what you see going on, Because people suggesting that, well, the only reason why it has been highlighted now because of you get social media and you get cell phone cameras and so on. Not at all. That's not the only reason. It never took place in the manner they're having it in now. People who develop relationships, they were very, very discreet. I know sometimes when as you discover something or you suspect something, please report to them. You say, I'm secret agent. You know what's going on? But no, sir. No, let me bring in CC. Let me bring in CC, man. CC, I know this can pain you because you have been at that institution for all these years. Have your say, my brother.
Yeah, Paul, it would pain me. I read the letter. I saw the clips, the video clips. And like you, I will not share it. But It's mind-boggling. Sexual activities in of all places, the instructor's office. Of all places, instructor's office. You know, there's something called vicarious responsibility. We had it before, reports before, and they sent OPR investigated. Part of the investigation, I think some ASP they transferred to Lagrange. Some inspector they sent to 4C. Some sergeants about Georgetown TSU. Some other junior ranks about the place. And that was it. But what happened to the head? I said several times, the person in charge of training has no training background. That person, a female, went to Russia and studied forensic science, excelled. On a return, transfer to the training institution as the head with no training background, none whatsoever. When we have numerous, endless, unsolved crimes, we heard about the execution at Beirut and other places, which crying out for forensic investigation, forensic action. But here's it, a highly qualified person at the college, qualified in forensic science, and all these reports where forensic investigation is required is not being done. She should have been running all over the place. She should have been in Beirut. She should be all over the place and should be at the forensic science lab. But no, they're indigenizing the forensic science lab. They got an engine building the forensic science lab. You know, and if the head and functioning, things gonna go wrong. The person who in charge of the recruits, another female, a superintendent with no training background, none whatsoever. They changed the name from a training school to an academy. Like they know it was an academy. An academy. Perhaps it is the only academy in the world that doesn't have any department. Just change the name and it on an academy. You expect to hear that you have a department of criminal law, a department of police practice and procedures, and all other things there. Who do you have at the college? It is a dumping ground. Undesirables. As a result, you got to get sex for pass. You got to get sex for grade. You got to get sex for other things. And according to the report there, very alarming, where it is alleged that one of the female trainees, so she had to tell them, those predators, those sexual predators, that my parents just check me regularly. I'm a virgin to see if I'm still a virgin, so I can't do nothing. and maybe there's all they haul off from she. There's a canteen there and liquor selling non-stop. In my days as a force training officer, the liquor selling there is beer. Beer. Nothing higher than beer. And also they got in the that same canteen there, instructors bringing in stuff there that the trainees got to buy. And if you don't buy, you're in trouble. I spoke about the trainees who went to Borbies, the Amerindian squad, fancy boots, a police corporal there at the college sold them the boots. They had to pay, they had to push it in the pocket and pay. They get transferred, I think they got back to the Rupunoni. And they have not been refunded their money for the boots that they had to buy. The government got to prepare you, the government got to give you boots. But no, people selling boots down there. People driving in and picking up female trainees and going with them. Trainees coming back 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. No record is being made. Nothing. Nothing at all there. And what are the persons there in responsibility doing? Nothing at all. Because they themselves involved in it. Sex, Wild West at the training institution here. Sex, Wild West. And nothing is being done. OPR investigate, full stop. What about the moral standards? As you mentioned, Paul, yes, in our time you used to suspect hey, something going on there. I know of instances where certain persons, male met their wife there, and female met their husband there. But there was nothing, brother. They were secretive. But the whole system rotten. And I feel you should close down the blasted place. Close it down. Start back afresh. Close it down. Get rid of them people down there. Look for people who would be able to uplift the moral standard of the place. I remember, I don't like to boast, but I had a woman, Dr. Janice Jackson, a psychologist, who was made available to the trainees there. And she used to tell me, Mr. Conway, those trainees get serious problems. They're female, serious problems. Sometimes when I left the office, they're crying, shedding bitter tears. That they need somebody to deal with them. And they need firm people. But perhaps like from top to bottom, they're sexual predators and they're being allowed to do their own thing in that training institution.
Yeah, well said, my brother. Well said. You know, I've been looking at the comments while you were on, and some people are making some very valid comments. What type of trainee, what type of policeman those person will become? What kind? Maybe there's the type of people who go to the station now, and when someone goes there to make a report and so on, they treat to them, make advances to them and all this type of thing, make demands to them. Because if that is occurring in the training institution, we're supposed to mold the minds of those young recruits. And if that is what they are acclimatized to, what do you expect when they go out on the station? What do you expect to happen when they go out on the station? Right? Can you imagine that? What is going on out in that place? Shut it down. Hold everybody accountable. As Cici said, this is vicarious liability. The commissioner, the man at admin, the person in charge of training cannot divorce themselves from accountability in this matter. It is going on under you. whether you're not involved, we're not saying that you're involved directly, but the fact that you're running an institution where all of this lawlessness is going on, you have to be held accountable. And again, I close this part by saying, I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt, that unless y'all get rid of people like Ikin, because he is the man in charge, and if he can't make an impact, another year he's alleged to be doing, just go, you can call them when you hear this thing, or cuss them up about their mother, so, that is all he can do. That is his level. That is his level. And therefore, perhaps we got to go further. Because if the government is allowing him to remain there in light of all of this, then maybe they too are responsible. Maybe they too are responsible. This is a sad situation. They complain about unable to attract and maintain ranks. Perhaps all this is a part. Because when people hear the story, and not because of us, people, even before, or even if it is not broadcast on this program, people know what's going on out there. People know. Matty going and tell Matty, shut the blasted place down. Look for proper staff, people who know about policing, who can teach these recruits, people who have proper morals, people who have a moral compass. Let us pick up anybody and they go in there, all they want is to, as we say, I'll be a little crude, for lash them little girl and get them, lash off the head and so on. That is what is going on in there. So why should you continue to have it? Why should you continue to have it without massive reform? Turn a blasted Oros is what the training institution has become. Oros. And I'm upset. Again, I say, you got to blame the commissioner, perhaps even the minister and all of them, because similar allegations were made not so long ago. And what have they done? What have they done? They haven't, as far as we're aware, they haven't done anything, apart from saying, PR will investigate, apart from transferring a few people. Who was held accountable beyond that? Nobody. So therefore, the thing continue. The thing continues, right? Now let me move on. Quickly, some quick ones. And one of the I think it was Wednesday or Friday, we spoke about the opening of the Demerara Assizes, and we had a debate as to the rank of the female officer who was in charge of the parade. I have confirmed from viewing the picture that the rank is an assistant superintendent. I have confirmed when I viewed the picture that the rank who was in charge, Tiffany Williams, I think it is, she's an assistant superintendent. So that's a follow-up and to clarify. Now, we also told you about this matter with the police sergeant who was thrown in the lockups. Now, there's an update to that. And Big Smith on the case. Big Smith wrote this morning that Deputy Commissioner McBean stamps his authority on Soku's overreach. Then it says, Deputy Commissioner of Police Simon McBean has ordered Police Sergeant Canterbury to report for duty at the Brigdam Police Station Traffic Department, where he is rightfully stationed. McBean is the commander of Police Regional Division 4A. Sergeant Canterbury works within that division, and any transfer of ranks out of that division has to be made with the knowledge of the divisional commander through the Office of the Deputy Commissioner Administration writing or through the Commissioner of Police, none of which was done. Big Smith has written something, we just got a little thing wrong. Not going to address that. On Friday, Assistant Superintendent of Police, Scott, released Sergeant Canterbury from custody and cautioned him, stating that he had been transferred with immediate effect to the Tactical Services Unit and was to report to the Special Organized Crime Unit today, Monday, as part of an ongoing investigation. Many persons within the force have been speaking about the high-handedness with which the Special Organized Crime Unit carries out its operations without any regard for the rule of law and rank structure within the Guyana Police Force. As the body is quoted as saying, an ASP instructing a rank that he transferred with immediate effect without even the proper paper trail is breach of SOP and flies in the face of the commander of the division, who in this case is the Deputy Commissioner of Police, who had to learn of this through the media. Well, the commander said the rank is not going anywhere until the proper procedures are followed. One officer within the Guyana Police Force told Big Smith Newswatch Monday morning. It was just last week, Friday, that the publisher of this newspaper establishment, Leroy Smith, conducted a Facebook Live interview. Among other things, he spoke of the manner in which SOCO operates, breaching procedures and breaking laws as they seek to execute a mandate, but outside of the parameters of the law and established force guidelines. Canterbury is a police rank who was lured from his normal duties to go to stake out a workshop, a worship place, a mosque to be exact, where a number of members of the Mohammed's family were inside praying. While there, the sergeant was given 2 sets of instructions: remove the vehicle, and then another set of instructions from an higher ranking officer who told him to leave the people's vehicle alone. He was then thrown into the lockups and is expected to be charged with conspiracy for money laundering. That is what it is being said. Now, let me unpack a few things here. Transfers. Let me tell the policemen how transfer works, right? Now, if you are transferred from one division or branch to another, that has to be done by it is done by the, what we used to call staff officer. I think now they call the person 2IC admin, on instruction maybe from the man in charge of admin or from the commissioner. So the actual message and all the thing is done by the 2IC admin or the staff officer. And that is a transfer from one division or branch to another. A transfer within a division is done by the divisional commander. Let me understand this. The commander in charge of a division, he determines how the ranks are transferred from which station to which station and all of that. Commander makes that determination, not no headquarters. Headquarters can't or shouldn't be telling the commander to send this person here or send that person there. Let me tell you all about an experience. I like share my experience. I was a young commander, Ulrich would know because Ulrich was with me then, at West Demerara region, D division, it used to be known then. And a particular inspector, Ulrich, many of you can remember, Kevin might remember too, he make move. He got the tongue, he wanted to be stationed at Parika Station. So he make move and he go to headquarters to get transferred. He wasn't in the division at the time. He wasn't in D division. He was stationed somewhere else and made move to be transferred to D division. But here where the mix up. Headquarters transferring him to Parika Police Station. And I tell him, hold up, you don't work, sir. Headquarters cannot transfer a rank from one division to a particular police station within the division, at least not when I was serving. You transfer him to the division. And I, as a divisional commander, will make a determination based on your resources and based on what you need, where the person will go. You can't tell me from headquarters you're transferring this man to Parika. Yes, David. David, you were there too. Yes, that was the man, David. He make him move. Come, he's smiling now, you get transferred to Parika. So who transfer you to Parika? Staff officer. Staff officer can't transfer you to Parika. Right? I will send you where I want to send you. And I can't remember where he was sent, but that is how it should go. But you have the whole system breakdown now. The whole system breakdown. Again, I say, transfer between divisions and branches, right? Staff officer, what they call out 2IC admin. Instructions maybe from the deputy commissioner admin or from the commissioner. Right? Or in many cases, when I was the commander, I would call the staff officer and advise the staff officer that maybe a particular rank in this division, I need to have him transferred out of the division for many reasons. And they will act upon that. But I, as a commander, will initiate that and they will execute. But this nonsense where they're going on now, imagine an ASP is unless you have told a man that you get transferred immediately to TSU, a blasted assistant superintendent. He's not even a senior officer. Is what really going on. And if it is that Mr. McBean took the action, he took compliments to you, compliments, and that it shouldn't finish there. that officer who did that ASP should be, in my day, well, first of all, in my day, that wouldn't happen. But now that this has happened, should be given a lovely love letter. A lovely, lovely love letter, point out the things to him, right? Like I did to Edgar Thomas. What happened to you now? Edgar Thomas, who came out of, who the government brought out of retirement in 2020 to make him head of the Presidential Guard. And then he had the audacity to write to the Police Service Commission about promotions. He was then come back an assistant commissioner in the special constabulary. He write into the commission, and I caused him to know that how this is then doing so. I caused him to know. I wrote him strongly about it. And then the president called and said, go on, easy. He said, I told the president, I said, even if you instructed Thomas to write to the commission, right? Thomas ought to have advised you that he cannot write to the commission. That is not how it works. You see, I was a different breed. And that is why I end up, no, you see, Toro, there's the next thing that we get, you know. There's a mistake that we made. I try to sort out. Look, I do so much work at the Police Service Commission. No officer in the police force, they call it censure, right? A censure letter. But even if it's a censure letter, you have got to couch your language very, very carefully. You know why? Because you can't tell him what you're warning him, right? You cannot. And I had put together the words and things. You cannot tell him, no officer in the police force. Let me understand this thing clearly. Commissioner, deputy commissioner, assistant commissioner, nobody can write to no inspector and ASP telling them that they're warning them about anything. Can't. Law doesn't provide for that. You know why? Because in the law, Police Discipline Act 1701, Chapter 71, warning is a form of punishment. And punishment, it tells you under the same law who can award punishment. You have to be a divisional commander of the rank of superintendent or above to be a disciplinary authority. Only the disciplinary authority can award punishment. So if the commander is writing to some inspector or maybe an ASP, you gotta be careful as to how he structure the letter. And I was a master for that. How he structure. Can't tell you you're warning him, can't warn him. Warning is punishment. You have no authority to award punishment. That is what the Police Act, Discipline Act says. I'm telling them so I can learn these things, you know. Hope y'all making notes. Hope y'all are making notes. Because it has run up. People just complain to me, you cannot discipline. Commissioner can't discipline no body from inspector to assistant. You can't. This is what the Constitution, the law. The Commissioner of Police, not only Clifton, no Commissioner of Police can discipline a rank from inspector all the way to assistant commissioner. You cannot. The Constitution and the law does not or do not care for that. And again, me no liar. You could go and ask Joseph. That can't. The Constitution says, Article 212 tells you about who can exercise disciplinary control. If the person is an inspector all the way to an assistant commissioner, that is the function of the Police Service Commission. If the person is below the rank of inspector, then that is the function of the commissioner. So the commissioner can't say disciplining no inspector or officer. You understand? They got to read and understand these things. You know, it's sad that you have senior people don't know what is supposed to be these basic things. Cannot discipline them. And I know, again, you got to understand what the parameters of your responsibilities and your powers, where those parameters lie. Can't. So this thing, what I said, this assistant superintendent, I hope y'all deal with it, right? And Toro, you don't use the word censure, right? You write your nice letter, right? You don't use the word warning neither. You're bringing this to his attention so that he can take stock with a view of improving his performance and them. Nice words, man. Nice words. I mean, you're basically sensing me and warning me, but you can't use those words. You have to have a little more command of the language, right? So let me understand this. Let me bring in CC for talk about this promotion thing. Time really flying today. I got a couple of things more I want to talk about. Let me bring in CC for him to say about this transfer, well, ASP transfer, man, with immediate effect, right? CC, over to you.
Highly irregular. And it's time some commanders stand up. Yes, commanders transfer within his division, but from his division going outside there, or from some other division to his division. No. Commander within his division, full stop. And I'm happy if it's true that Mark Bean has put his foot on it. And I'll be happier if Mark Bean can, through the Police Service Commission, take action against that ASP. Because according to Section 212.1, here it's saying, subject to the provision of Article 212.1, the power to make appointment to any officers in the police force of or above the rank of inspector, the power to, and this is important, the power to exercise disciplinary control over person holding or acting in such office, and the power to remove such person from office shall vest with the Police Service Commission. So in terms of appointment, discipline, and removal from office, it is the Police Service Commission. But I hope that the divisional commanders and a weak like hell will take back their powers and will ensure that other persons can't jump in their division and do as they like. If you jump in me division, you're going to stop her. And that's how it ought to be.
Right. I get y'all really just spoil this thing, you know. Some of these students just spoil this thing. In the midst of all this good, informative information discussion, man tell me where cities lose. Man just give a message where cities lose 143 for 9 in reply to 181 for 3. Where cities lose. Are you surprised? I am not surprised. Right? I am not surprised. Right? I am not surprised. Let me move on quickly. Let me tell you, I understand somebody sent to me. I haven't seen it elsewhere, but somebody saying that an announcement is made that budget will be presented on the 26th of this month. That is what somebody just sent to say. I don't know. I got to get confirmation. So I understand that they're saying budget presentation. So are we then to expect that before the budget presentation, that the Speaker of the National Assembly, Manzoor Nadir, will call the meeting as required by Article 184, meeting of members of the opposition, for them to elect a leader of the opposition? Because, you know, the 26th of January is before the matter, this extradition matter comes up again. So what can happen then? What is going to happen? I understand that Nadir had traveled to India. And, you know, read today's, I think it's today, editorial in Speaqking News, where that thing in there. These people got no shame. Manzoor Nadir, it is said, went to India, some parliamentary meeting, where they talk about how parliament should operate or that. A man who was elected speaker on the 3rd of November and was required to call a meeting of members of the opposition for them to elect a leader of the opposition. The man didn't do that yet. And Speaqking News, well, look, let me tell you something. The training in me, I just pick up a lot of fine things. I mean, we make mistakes, but you got to be very careful, because I see Speaqking News in the same editorial talking about the elections which were held on the 3rd of September 2025. Elections were held on the 1st of September, but they said the 3rd of September. The convening of Parliament took place on the 3rd of November 2025, one day outside of this period as stipulated by the Constitution. So what it was not within. Within mean inside. And the Constitution said you should convene Parliament within 3 months of the dissolution of dissolving the previous Parliament. So the 12th Parliament was dissolved, I think, on the 3rd of July, and therefore the last day for the convening of the 13th Parliament would have been the 2nd of October. They convened it on the 3rd, one day outside. But it's an unlawful government, unconstitutional. The Constitution is not mean nothing to them. The Constitution does not mean anything. So, Nadir, and let me remind you all, earlier, I think it was sometime last year, after the 13th Parliament was convened, the president told us, the nation, that Nadir was out of the country. He did so, I believe, in a very arrogant manner. Oh, as we all know, he's out of the country, conveying the impression that when he returns, he will take care of his constitutional responsibilities. Right? The man come back. The president had an activity outside of the parliament where, you remember, all of them sit down outside the place where they would normally keep parliament at the Artachong Center under some tent. Nadir front row, nothing had happened. The man gone to India. I don't know if he come back, nothing. But I want to draw their attention to Article 158(7) of the which says, let me try to read it. Wait, yeah. 158(7), I get it right. It says, right, Article 158(7), the functions conferred by the article or this article on the Speaker shall, if there is no person holding the office of Speaker, or if the Speaker is absent from Guyana or is otherwise unable to perform his functions, be performed by the Deputy Speaker. So this nonsense would have given the impression, well, the Speaker, and then that is why they're not having this meeting. What happened to the Deputy Speaker? Article 158(7) says clearly, if the Speaker is out of the country or any other way incapacitated, the Deputy Speaker can perform the function. But no, not them. And I say, because they're all suffering from Lamborghini-itis. Right? So when they tell you this thing is not about Assadin Mohammed and all them, the thing, BS. And you know, let me tell you this as a countryman. When you hear some of them come and they spew all of this rubbish, right? I am reminded of what in the country old people used to say. And I got to go down to my countryman talking. Old people say, if your mouth shaped like Batty, you got to shoot shit. Let me interpret that for the non-country people and the non-Guyanese. You say, if your mouth is shaped like an anus, you have to shoot feces. It has to utter feces. If your mouth shaped like Batty, you got to shoot shit. That is what they say. So when you see them come, look at the shape of the mouth. And then you're going to understand why they're talking all the bullshit that they're talking. Right? Jason, perhaps you never heard that saying. Is that me make it up? That's me, I countryman guys out of saying them old people. Mouth shaped like Batty, got to shoot shit. That's what they say. So watch them carefully. But they talk about democracy and constitutional democracy. No meeting to get, you don't have the running roughshod, no opposition leader. No opposition leader. And I saying this before I bring in CC. My crystal ball is telling me that serious movements are on the foot to make sure that Assadin Mohammed is not elected as the leader of the opposition. That is what my crystal ball telling me. I want to talk about this. I'm not talking about him being extradited before. I am talking about serious efforts being made for them to charandas him. Serious efforts are being made. Charandas is a verb. For them to charandas him with kasrip and other condiments. Right? Remember what the president said? Here, I got to keep reminding you, remember what the president said. It's not slow and Conway. Hear what the president said.
The opposition leader will be a he or she. You're assuming that the opposition leader will be a he. I think that's a very big assumption. There might be a view that the opposition leader might be a he, but I can't predict what will happen.
One way or another.
Well, you're yourself. So when I looked at the crystal ball, in regards to that statement, I said maybe things are afoot, right? Things going on, a lot of movements behind the scene, but we shall see. We shall see, right? So it is a disgrace to this country. This is a stain on the parliament for the speaker not to call a meeting for the opposition members to elect the members of the leader of the opposition. To use Nandalal's own phrase, it will be a stain on the parliament, stain on Guyana, because everybody now chipping in, you know. I have seen even some of the called Amerindian Association, a lot of people chipping in now and saying the ABC EU countries have already made it clear. This man, you should have the election. Whoever elected, they are saying who. But the US ambassador went further because the US ambassador is suggesting that even if Azzuddin Mohammed, who they love to remind us is sanctioned by the US, who they like to remind us as indictment, and who they like to remind us is going through extradition proceedings, the US ambassador has made it clear that even if he were to be elected as the leader of the opposition, they can work around that. They can walk around that. So that they come and they tell you all them nonsense. No, I have to use the right word. All them nonsenseness they come to tell you and fool you. No. You're not accepting that. But look, but let me remind you too. All them were jumping around. Remember, there's a thing called the recall legislation. Hey. Y'all read up on that. Recall legislation. Which simply means that whoever is the head of the list of any party with seats in parliament, the head of the list can recall you. So right now we know they have 15 members from the Win party plus Azzuddin Mohammed, and I am not sure who is the head of that list. One will assume that the head of the list might be Azzuddin Mohammed. So if anybody do anything in parliament that Azzuddin Mohammed is not in agreement with, he has the authority to knock them off. So let me see where that will go. I would love to see, let me show this say, God is not a rape, please. I would love to see somebody else. That's the fun of it. Somebody else elected. And Toro, why you comment on this? I don't use I'm no politician. I use a man with political science and all that. I would love to see for fun that they elect somebody else from the Win party other than Azzuddin Mohammed, and then Azzuddin Mohammed knock them off. I understand that the head of the list might be Odessa Primus. So I would love to see they decide, well, no, Azzuddin, you can't be the leader of the opposition. We can put somebody else. And then Odessa decide to knock them off. We see what happens, right? Because the head of the list I'm just informed is Odessa Primus. And Odessa Primus got better treatment than they gave to Michelle Caesar. Because when Odessa Primus was refused, well, not refused, when she decided to withdraw or to withdraw or application to enter into the US and send back to Ghana, they had the whole media corps at the Tiberi International Airport to greet her. Everybody been there. I don't know if Caesar was turned back. There's a suggestion that E2 was refused entry. His visa was revoked and turned back. And me and see they go up there to reach him, man. So that's a big up yourself, man. You are the whole media corps, all them from DPI and all them, the shittics and all them were there to meet you. And at least you were treated far better than they treated the deputy crime chief when he was turned back. I know that anybody been there to reach you. Folks, let me bring in CC for him to make his comments here. And then we are going to be taking our leave of you shortly. CC, I've said a mouthful there. Anything that you want to add?
Two things. I understand that Edgar Thomas is no longer the head of the Presidential Guard. Das is it, but I give him some other special position. And I got a note that budget day would be Monday coming. And I won't be surprised if they call Parliament without the opposition. Minister of Finance presented a budget and they discuss among themselves and pass the budget. Anything likely to happen.
Yeah, well, somebody just sent me the notice. Budget Day is Monday, January the 26th, 2026. Honorable Dr. Ashni K. Singh, MP, Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance. Budget Day is going to be next Monday. But let's remember, on that day is just for the budget to be read. The Minister of Finance reads the budget, take hours and hours. These people are there, only the other day last week, they said they have consultation about the budget. And the consultation done so quick that the budget can be read on the 26th of normally, I think it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The budget will be read. But once the budget is read, it's just a reading of the budget, just a reading of the budget. And once they don't read, I think then they come to committee of supply or something like that. And then they got you line item. But initially, Monday is just a reading of the budget. So I don't know, they might tell you that there's no requirement for a leader of the opposition for the budget to be read. You got to understand these people, You got to understand. And somebody said maybe we can hear that Odessa is the new leader of the opposition. Because if Odessa is elected as the leader of the opposition, then I think she can dismiss herself. If she's the leader of the list, she has an authority to dismiss others. But if she's the person, so let me see. We are into some very interesting times. Interesting times. What more do I have to tell you? I got a lot to talk about. I think maybe before we end, let me just tell you that the president has indicated that cash grant, he said, is not sustainable. The giving of cash grant is not sustainable. They could give fisher folks $150,000, and they give a lot of money to rice farmers. But I tell you, cash grant is not sustainable. They just discovered that. A man who campaigned on the cash grant as one of the pillars to get back into office now suddenly decided that cash grant is not sustainable. Are you take that? I tell you what you got to do. Like old fisher boy make a lot of noise. Go to G, come tell you want back your vote, man. Go and tell them that you want back your vote. Go and tell them that you want back your vote. Right? So we have that. And we have a lot of other stuff with this going on. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. And to say to you that, tomorrow afternoon, I'm in court tomorrow afternoon. I get 4 charges running. The one for, what they call it, that has got to think before anonymity of complaint comes up tomorrow afternoon. And then I think it's next month. The other 3 charges, sexual assault, they come up next month. But tomorrow afternoon, then I get one on the 23rd too. The 23rd of January is in the High Court. There's a civil action matter. I am the person who filed the action. So that is on the 23rd that comes up. But tomorrow afternoon at 1:15, I think it is. I got to check back because I don't want to be absent from court and then the next thing I issue an arrest warrant from it. So I'm going to check back to confirm the time. But that's tomorrow afternoon at 1:15, I think it is. And then on the 23rd is the High Court. I think they said there is case management. I got to check. So that is what will happen. And then I get till next month again. So, I'll buy there, man. I ain't going away. I can't to Dr. King. Remember Dr. King said? Dr. King, let me read to you what Dr. King said, Dr. King said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Y'all must remember that. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. This is Dr. Martin Luther King, whose birth anniversary is observed in the U.S. Today. Observed in the U.S. today in a public holiday. Folks, I need to play y'all some nice tune to get out. Let me see. Yeah, I need to play y'all some nice tune. What do I play? Look, let me tell you this. I'm going to tell this. I love, and for the older folks, you must listen to some of these songs. I'm going to play a little part of one of my favorite reggae songs by, and Dudley, I'm talking about Romeo and Vorgo and Sasko. Listen to this part. That's the first part that I'm playing. Listen to it carefully.
Sasko. Hey, yo, man. Yo, Sasko. We're rolling this tonight. When I see my friends become my enemy, I escape far. No one near them will not go. No link, no bar. Cause I know dirty heart can't sweep with broom. They are like the trees we can't bloom, and they shall slowly fade away. And I know dirty heart can't wash with soap. The meditation twist up like rope, and they shall slowly fade away.
Yeah, what my brother said? Yeah, dirty heart can't sweep the broom. They like the trees that can't bloom. Dirty heart can't wash the soap. The meditation twists up like rope. Comrade, let me tell you something. Many of our vintage, these people talking, they don't listen to this, they don't listen to the lyrics, they don't listen to the word. But this is a song that I love. Dirty heart can't sweep with broom. If you are dirty, you can't sweep it with no broom. Right? It can't wash it with no soap. The meditation twists up like rope. Yeah, big tune, big tune. Hey, let me tell you something. All genres, you know. I'm a man of music. All genres. I know that they can comment and tell me they know that I know them tune them though. Yeah. But I got a wide collection. Raymond Vorgo and Sasko. Dirty heart can't sweep with broom. They are like the trees that don't bloom. Dirty heart can't wash with soap. The meditation twists up like rope. That's why you have that now. That is what they are, folks. We have had a good morning. Good morning. I got to compliment you on your turnout over 2,500 on the live. 2,500. And I say to you, if you look, for those of you who are in a position to make a donation to the upkeep of this program, please, the numbers are there. And some people have reached out and said, well, they ain't get all them things them now. Right? And therefore, the MoneyGram or Western Union, you got to do something to keep this program going, man. Keep it going. So again, thank you very much for your attendance. And we're going to meet again, God's Spare Life, on Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, which is 12 o'clock Ghana time, for another episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. And until then, stay well. Bye.
Up comes Parslow and Mr. Clinton. Can't wait. Speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Parslow and Conway to say. Whole day we are calling for Parslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they get.
Hear me when I sing. Oh. Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Parslow, you always will preach. Oh, like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far. And every Guyanese will feel well. Oh, yes, Parslow